This morning's guest went to his first Miss South Carolina pageant when he was less than a year old. He hasn't missed one in 44 years. And the reason why is sitting beside him this morning. Meet him. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in the lobby of the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium in Spartanburg, South Carolina. We're focused on the Miss South Carolina and Miss South Carolina teen pageants, which were held here in the auditorium about 10 days ago. And we're visiting with the Executive Vice President, the Comptroller of the Miss South Carolina organization, Joey and Gail Sanders. Good morning, Joey. Good morning, Gail. Thank you so much for coming in early on a Monday morning. We've got a tremendous week. This week, actually, Dr. Adrian Johnson came back to be with us this Wednesday. Kathy Altry Randall will be with us tomorrow here. It was great getting Dr. Johnson back from Texas, so he'll be with us on Wednesday. And then later in the week, the Honorable Rita Allison will be with us on Thursday. And you won't believe it, Miss America is coming back in here to be here on Friday with us on the 18th. So tremendous that she is traveling 20,000 miles a month, and it wasn't a big deal for her to add it back into her schedule to come back to Spartanburg. She loved the upstate. Yes, she loved the upstate. Thank you all so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
This is tremendous celebration. Of course, the amazing performance of series of the 92 young contestants which were here over the course of, I think, a 10-day stretch, probably spending a lot of time leading up to that 10 days even before that. And of course, for y'all, State Fair, wow. That was amazing, the incredible performance that was put on here in the auditorium as well.
Well, it wasn't exactly the State Fair as I remember the State Fair.
A lot of folks have been. Of course, for me in the Tar Heel State, visiting Raleigh many times, and here in the Palmetto State, is the State Fair always in Columbia?
It is.
Well, it sure showed like Columbia moved up to Spartanburg 10 days ago when State Fair was held here. It was amazing.
We were really proud of what was accomplished during the competition week. So.
Who came up with that theme, State Fair? Is that a brainchild of Joey here?
Well, actually, yeah. What we normally do, Greg, is during the course of the competition, we get together as a production staff and decide, hey, look, what do we want to do next year?
Right.
You know, this production's over. We've got it here. So what do we want to do next year? So last year in July, we tossed around the State Fair theme, and we worked on it for a year, getting it to Spartanburg, and that's the performance people saw a week ago.
It was amazing.
We were really excited. We thought it turned out really, really nice.
You've got to be. And to think each and every day, little changes, even for, and I hate to say it, I was one of the judges for the event. I hate to say it only because it takes a little of the luster away, but we got to enjoy a lot of different foods for each of the different preliminaries. I think I went through a whole box of Barnum & Bailey crackers, went through a lot of saltwater taffy. I don't know if I got any sleep over the course of the time because all that salt water.
We were as excited about the fair food as we were the actual State Fair thing.
A lot of funnel cakes here in the lobby. Things are being sold up here. All the sweet popcorn and cotton candy.
Cotton
candy was going off the stands. I think they may have run out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think they may have run out. Of course, it's so exciting for y'all and the excitement. We had your husband and your father with us last Monday, the 7th, right after the pageants wrapped up, and to hear him talk about his first involvement with the Miss South Carolina organization, but directly with the Miss South Carolina pageant. I think he said 1960.
Absolutely.
1960.
That was around a long time.
A great story. It was even more exciting to hear him talk about how he got your mother interested in the pageant. Would you mind sharing, Gail, for viewers who missed your husband last Monday, the 7th, a little bit about how you actually got involved and even maybe briefly how he got involved?
Well, basically, Greg, it is an interesting story. Joe always wanted to be a banker, and he immediately went to the bank right after school. And his first day at the bank, he was in the president's office, and the president of the bank said, Joe, what are you involved with philanthropically? Well, you know, he was kind of more interested in playing than any community service involvement. So, having taken a job where honesty and integrity are paramount,
Right.
He told a lie.
Ooh. Ooh.
And said, I'm involved with the Greenville JCs
Right.
working on the Miss South Carolina pageant.
Oh, come on.
Because he had seen a billboard
Right.
on the way to work
way to
advertising
work
the pageant
that day. Oh, my Lord.
advertising the pageant. He will tell you to this day that the longest hours of his life were between 9 and 1 when he could go join the Greenville JCs
Right.
and work on the Miss South Carolina pageant.
Oh, my Lord.
That was in May of
Right.
1960. We were getting married in August 7th, 1960.
So that was your first time learning that your husband likes to fib a little bit.
Well, it was my
Your
first
soon-to-be
time that
husband.
he was frantic, that he
Right.
had told a lie.
Oh, yeah.
And he also was not helping plan the wedding because he was working on the Miss South Carolina pageant.
kidding.
So needless to say, I was not a happy female.
Not a fan of
Not
pageant.
a fan of the
Right,
pageant,
right.
and not really real sure that I was a fan of his
Of Joe
at that
Sanders.
point. So that was how he got involved. And for years, every year, he would beg and say, Gail, please come and help us. We just need help. Please come and help us in the dressing room.
a woman's touch, yeah.
We need women to help dress girls in the dressing room.
Right, right.
And I said, that will never happen. Not in this lifetime will I ever be involved with that Miss South Carolina pageant.
Yeah.
And then one night he called me in 1964, and he said, Gail, I'll do anything for you if you will just come and help us dress contestants. And all of a sudden, Greg, I think gold, frankincense, diamonds went off
yeah,
in my
diamonds
head.
started rolling,
And so
yeah.
I thought, well, I'll just go.
Yeah.
So I went to the basement of Greenville Memorial Auditorium
Right.
and volunteered to help dress contestants. Got into the dressing room with many other women who each were assigned a contestant
Oh, yeah.
to help dress. And they immediately started making fun of the contestant that they had assigned to me.
Ooh.
Her gown was ripped.
Was ripped.
Ripped. The
Right.
bottom of it was ripped, and that she was just not even any competition,
Right.
and not to worry about this ripped gown because she couldn't do anything in the pageant.
Wow.
Now, I had never put a thread through a needle,
Right.
but I decided on my own that I would sew the ripped gown.
No.
So I sat at the floor, put the thread in the needle, having no earthly idea that this 40 yards of chiffon couldn't be sewn. I tried to sew with tears streaming down my
Oh,
face,
my God,
trying
no.
to sew this green chiffon gown.
Yeah.
Can see it to this day. Well, needless to say, it didn't get sewed. So the next morning, knowing nothing about competition, never having seen a pageant,
Right, right.
I go to Myers Arnold department store and purchase a new gown for the contestant that I was assigned.
Wow.
Took my grocery money
Oh, yeah.
and bought a gown. I came the next night with my big box tied up with a really pretty pink bow, and I presented the contestant with a new gown.
Right.
Then all week long, I just spent my time making sure that I was going to show the other women in the dressing
Oh,
room
yeah.
that
Yeah.
this girl stood a chance.
Oh, Gail. Wow.
Well, guess what, Greg? She made the top 10,
You're kidding.
and I was convinced that I had empowered her to do that.
Yeah.
And from that minute on, it was in my blood, and then it jumped into my heart. And I knew that if you could empower a young female,
Right.
it would make a difference.
That's a powerful story.
So that's how I got involved.
Have you kept up at all? I'm sure a lot of folks want to know. What is that
Absolutely.
woman doing now?
Well, that
you
woman right now
defended?
is a wife and mother, a banker.
A
believe
banker
it or not.
herself. No, that's amazing. Spurned by the bride of a banker, now she's a
Isn't that
that's amazing. What a
and
great
that was
story.
Joey's first year.
1964.
64, born in February, at the pageant in July.
And
Is
the
that
contestants
right? Been
passed
here
him
ever since.
around
Oh,
as
they
a
just
baby.
loved him. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
passed him around as a baby and entertained him and
I'm sure you've got
enjoy
some
every
great
minute.
Joey stories of pageants. Joey, do you remember your first pageant?
Yeah, I think I was like 5 or 6 years old, and my job duty was to carry my father's briefcase.
Oh, yeah.
I was his administrative assistant. And so all week long, wherever he went, I carried his briefcase and thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And then when I got older, I moved up to the stage crew and then, on production and then into the administrative side.
Right.
So, I mean, I've just grown up. This is what I've done all my life every summer. So I don't know anything different.
And now, during the other 9 months, 8 months of the year, are you pretty active? I mean, I guess the pageant is a year-round.
12-month process.
Yeah, right.
Back when my father got involved, the JCs got together 2 weeks before the pageant,
Right.
built the sets, did the pageant. The whole thing was a 2-week process.
Right.
Probably back in the early 90s,
Right.
it became a 6-7 month process, and now it's a full-time 12-month a year.
Right.
Work on the pageant every day.
But Grace, for many states, it is just still a 2-week project in the summer.
Wow.
That I think the difference between the Miss South Carolina pageant and many other state pageant is that the Miss America pageant has 2 mission statements. One of them is to conduct a competition and award scholarships.
Right.
And many states do that part of the Miss America mission statement,
Right.
conduct a pageant and award scholarships. And I think we do that very well.
Yeah.
We do conduct a pageant,
Right.
and we award more scholarships than anybody else in the country.
Any state in the
men.
country.
Right, any state. We this year will be awarding $139,250 in cash scholarships.
Wow.
And we will be awarding over $9 million in in-kind scholarships to the young women of our state.
That's the Miss South
That's
Carolina
the Miss
organization
South Carolina alone.
There's also a lot of the local.
Locals.
Absolutely.
I think the locals this year awarded over $370,000
Wow.
in scholarships. So we very much believe in that mission statement. There is no doubt about that. But the Miss America organization has another mission statement, and that is to empower young women to become their personal and professional best. And that's what we spend the other 50 weeks of the year working on.
To empower young women to become their personal and professional best. That's tremendous. That's tremendous. Well, I'm shocked that more states haven't taken that on as a 52-week-a-year event. I mean, really wrapped around it, because truly that is, what better appreciation could you get other than potentially empowering some young men, which y'all are now doing.
Well,
absolutely.
And we said that we started a Princess program about 13 years ago,
Right.
so that young girls in the state could see the whole organization from within. It's not a competition.
Yeah.
It's just for them to learn about the Miss South Carolina pageant. And when we started the Princess program, many of our locals and several people said, well, why don't you have a Prince program? And I said, that will never happen. Men are empowered enough. We don't need to empower them. So we'll never have a Prince program. But just as many of your viewers did, I picked up the newspaper several months ago, and the headline said, South Carolina leads the nation in domestic violence. And I knew right then that we had to start a program to teach young men how to honor, encourage, and respect the females in this state. This was the inaugural year of the Prince program, and guess what? I loved every one of those young men.
It was a tremendous
It was a
success.
tremendous